Since the launch of Splatoon 3, Splatfests have often been criticized by the community. The gameplay was usually pointed out as its biggest flaw. In the past, I've said that I love the concept and overall vibe of Splatfest, but that they'd need some drastic changes to improve the gameplay itself. And honestly, I was pretty much convinced that they were doomed to being a good idea with bad execution. That was until now. Since I last talked about Splatfest 7 months ago, there has been a series of notable changes and additions, especially with the recent Fresh Season update. So in today's video, I want to talk about Splatfest. I'll start with the problems it had and why it was disliked, and then I'll talk about the new features that might have fixed the issues we had with the event. First, I'll briefly explain Splatfest and the criticisms it received so we can all be on the same page. Splatfest is a monthly event where you fight for one of 3 teams based on a specific theme that lasts 48 hours. On day 1, it's Turf War only, and on day 2, you have the option to play Tricolor Turf War. But there are no ranked modes or any other PvP modes available during the event. And that's where the criticism came from, the gameplay. Turf War can be fun, but unless it's your favorite mode, it becomes stale if it's literally the only thing you can play. And people, including myself, found that being so restricted ultimately made Splatfests feel boring and unfun. Of course, the plazas looked phenomenal, and it was cool to see the idols perform, but the most important part of the game, the gameplay, needed to be improved. I personally had a pretty hard time reaching Ruler even if I was available during the whole Splatfest, because I got bored and would just end up taking 200 pictures of the plazas instead. On day 1, you could only play the basic Turf War, not even Tricolor. It was just Turf War with a different skybox, which is cool, but I couldn't play more than a few games unless I was playing with friends. I did like Tricolor way more even if some of the maps were questionable, because the objective added much needed depth to Turf War. Since Turf is the most basic mode in the game, it's not too hard to come up with a gimmick or objective to help make it interesting, and I think the Ultra Signals are a great idea. Another thing that bothered me was the themes. I didn't really resonate with most of them, and it naturally made me less motivated to go through Turf War to fight for something I wasn't even passionate about. And those were the biggest problems with Splatfests. Being restricted to Turf War, the lack of cool features to make it more fun, and the themes. As I mentioned at the start of the video, a few things have changed. I'll start with the smaller things, then I'll cover what I think is the one feature that has saved Splatfest. First is the addition of an extra rotation. In case you didn't know, Turf War Open and Pro used to be the same rotation, but this has been changed so that one of them now has different maps. This may not seem huge, but it was actually really helpful to add a little variety, because before that, on day 1, you only had access to 2 PvP maps at any given time, and I can only play on Undertow so many times before going insane. Small change, but it helped a lot. Another addition is holiday Splatfests such as Frostyfest and Splatoween. Admittedly, this doesn't affect the gameplay itself, but the plazas have special decorations, the idols' performances and outfits are different, the ink has cool patterns, and you even get exclusive gear. These are rare, unique Splatfests that add a lot of things we don't usually get to see, so they help a lot with motivation in wanting to play because they're so special, and the themes are actually interesting. Speaking of themes, the regular Splatfests unfortunately still have pretty mediocre themes. I'm sorry, but genuinely, what were they thinking when they came up with Friday versus Saturday versus Sunday? Stuff like this is why I don't blame anyone for picking by idol or ink color. But finally, let's talk about the one feature that has massively improved the gameplay: Fizzbangs. Fresh Season 2024 introduced a new gameplay feature called Fizzbangs. They appear in both turf war and tricolor during Splatfests. They're these bomb-like things that do 30 damage and paint about as much as a normal bomb. But unlike bombs, they don't require any ink to use and can easily be thrown during fights. I think that they add depth to the gameplay in really interesting ways. First, they motivate players to get into fights and win to obtain more fizzbangs. This makes games generally more dynamic and interesting because there are way more engagements. I've found that fizzbangs also create new strategies. You can choose to play more aggressive and use them to win fights, or maybe you prefer their ability to turf. And you can even use them at the end of a game so your enemies don't have the time to paint over them. I find it very interesting to see how people choose to incorporate this new feature into their playstyle. Something I haven't seen many people mention is also how fizzbangs help out weapons who can't paint very well. It's true that in turf war, most chargers and blasters are at an inherent disadvantage because they just don't paint as well as most other weapons, and fizzbangs can help with paint output. Fizzbangs feel special because they don't show up in any other mode. Also, this is the only time the game directly encourages you and rewards you for getting kills. All these changes have made Splatfest much more enjoyable to me. Before they added fizzbangs, I couldn't even reach ruler in normal Splatfests. But now I actually look forward to them because I get to use this really fun feature. When they first announced fizzbangs in the season trailer, I was intrigued, but I didn't think they'd have much of an impact. But I was pleasantly surprised with how good they are, and it makes me happy that they've managed to make Splatfests better for myself and many others. By the way, those who follow me on Twitter will know that this video came out way later than I intended it to, because the laptop that I did everything on decided to simply die. But I got a new PC, so everything should be okay now. Sorry for the delay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments how you feel about Splatfest now that new things have been added. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!